Welcome to SuperDerek Studios. That's it. It's just one room. It looks a little messy, but it's mine. Here's where I film the game collection. Everything that you see here, more or less, has been acquired through thrift stores and other secondhand shops. I wanted to cultivate a sort of tavern style, maybe item shop style aesthetic, and everything that's shown here is serving that end. A lot of this has just been picked up from little antique shops here and there, or made, like that pillar in the corner there, that stone pillar is something that I made and have a whole video about the process. That wooden panel with all the lighting is something that I made out of old pallets. Not really a whole lot back there, just a whole bunch of wires strewn about in order to help complete the lighting effects. Here's some stuff that you don't usually get to see during my videos because it's all up on top of my shelves, the things that won't fit within the regular shelves. The shelving, by the way, was all acquired from a Goodwill, and then I spent a good several days tidying it all up and restaining it and polishing it. There's that other pillar that I made that also sadly doesn't get a whole lot of vision within the game collection. And here's where I record a lot. That's my recording station. That's where I sit and film for the JRPG Weekly Update, as well as when I stream. That's a big old bright white light in my eyes, and up above in the back corner is the PC that all of the stuff gets sent through. I got a second drawing tablet here that's pretty handy. I haven't had many chances to put that to use, but I hope to soon. Here's a desk. It's a bit messy. Just don't pay any attention to that. As you can see, I've got some blankets kind of blacking out the windows in order to help control the lighting. I can put the computer specs down in the description down below if anybody's really interested. And up here, I've got more just collectible stuff that I've acquired throughout the years. Big old TV here. I've really been enjoying watching a lot of Critical Role lately. And there's a PVM that sadly I don't get to use very often, and a sound system that I've got. And that right there is an OSSC that I use to scale a lot of my footage. The PC right there is a sleeper that I've built, the computer that I stream PC related games from during my live streams. And here's just the closet where I keep a lot of the tech stuff, the extra consoles that I'm not using at the moment. That's a Miracle piano back there that I found at a thrift shop, and oh dear. And there's that SuperDerek shirt. It's the only one I have left that fits anymore. Also, I've got a little collection of video game guides and art books and stuff, and that's a really cool little King Slime hat I got from a buddy of mine, Jimmy Hoppa. And then over on the left, you can see I've got another Producer's Choice sound blanket. Again, that not only blacks out sound or light, but also sound, helps dampen echoes and stuff. All kinds of lighting strewn across the top here in order to help me not look like I'm shrouded in shadow during all of my videos. And that right there is actually a artificial sun that I've created. A little bit of a disco ball that kicks off every once in a while during my live streams. But yeah, that artificial sun just sort of helps complete that sunbeam look when I have it shining down on my table. You can see that sunbeam that I'm talking about there. And you can kind of see some of the stuff I've got on my shelves here now. I'll give you a brief tour of all of that, starting with my Game Boy Advance, and those kinds of games. That's actually a NES holder that I've repurposed that I got at a thrift shop for like $2. There's my DS collection. One of my weaker points in my collection. I really do need to work at my DS and 3DS collection a bit more, but it's been on the back burner because it's hard to capture footage from them. And moving on, here's some of my Xbox titles that I have, and then Xbox 360. Again, I have quite a few titles, and probably more than I really need. And then diving into Vita, and a few other little trinkets that I've acquired over time that I've got on my shelf. There's a pretty cool saber-toothed tiger thing I got, some my Famicom titles that I like a lot. And then a little bit of my Zelda collection right here. Extra copy of Mother 1 there. My Dreamcast games. Now that is honestly the weakest point of my collection, but that's for a good reason. There's just not really a whole lot on Dreamcast, despite the fact that I love the Dreamcast so much. It just seems like there's very few RPGs on it. Getting into some of my PlayStation 2 titles here. Not everything that I have is going to be an RPG, but I have purged most of the non-RPGs from my collection. And yes, I do have 2 copies of the Grand Stream Saga. I tend to like to make things in addition to collecting them, so that Persona 5 mask is one that I actually made before the definitive edition, before Persona 5 R came out. Oh, here's a whole bunch of Super Famicom titles that I can't wait to dive deeper into, including Shin Megami Tensei. And there's my whole Dragon Quest collection, along with a few other Super Famicom titles that I, again, would really like to dive into. And then just got some anime, manga here, and a couple of sailboats. And then some more of my more modern stuff that you might see in the background when I'm filming for the JRPG Weekly Update. A lot more of my Nintendo Wii selection, which is surprisingly expansive, again, though it's not all RPGs, but there's just a lot on the Wii that I do like. And then my pitiful GameCube collection. I hope someday to expand it. PSP, I think I've got pretty well on lockdown. It's a great little system that I just love to play. And my Super Nintendo collection that sadly doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, but I really love this collection dearly. And then here's my small but growing Switch collection. And Wii U collection. That is not growing. I feel like the PlayStation 3 has a really solid collection of games and RPGs that were very cheap here very recently with the transition into PlayStation 4 and now PS5. I feel like soon they'll become harder to acquire. There's my Sega CD collection. Sega Master System 32X. And all of my secondhand manga that I've acquired over the years. Here's some of my NES stuff that I'm proud to have in my collection, but there's really not a whole lot to it here. Here's part of my streaming setup. There's the microphone that I like to use. A little lamp. And I have that microphone connected to this DBX286A that does a lot of my vocal processing. Helps really streamline the process of making voiceover videos and not having to do a whole lot of extra editing. And that all then in turn plugs into this XLR interface that I have then connected over USB to my computer up in the upper corner of my room. Oh, and here's the 3D printed mount that I've made for it, along with the 3D printed mount for that Stream Deck Mini there, and that all connects up here to this USB hub on the back of my monitor stand. Strapped in there nice and good. And my camera is actually held up by this little boom arm that's made for microphones, but it works really well in this case. And I have this camera, this Panasonic G7 connected over this cam link over USB 3 right back up there so that I can stream from that camera directly and record from it and just make things faster. And I've got this other bright white light that shines in my eyes whenever I film things. It's great. Oh, and look who we've got here, little Turbo there hanging out with us. There's the controller I use when I stream from PC games, and again, this is just a kind of a sleeper PC that I built with spare parts. And here's some of my terrible cable management. I do the best that I can to keep it clean, but there's only so much you can do sometimes when you've got that many cords. You know, little pad on the new chair that I've got just to help, you know, provide that lumbar support. I'm getting older and don't want to kill my back any more than I already have. And this is pretty much my view of what I see when I stream. And he's just adorable. His name is Turbo. You can probably guess who I named him after. I hope you enjoyed that tour. Thank you guys so much for 50,000 subscribers. And man, so next week will be the Q&A, and I will see you guys then. Until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, everybody.